What if the person you thought you were falling for turned out to be hiding a secret so wild, so bizarre, that it sounded like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie? Leans closer to the camera. What if they told you they were a clone, and not just any clone, but a perfect replica of one of the biggest celebrities on the planet? Would you laugh it off, roll your eyes, or maybe, just maybe, start to believe them? Hi, I'm Lena, and today, I'm diving into a story from my own life that's so crazy, I still can't believe it happened. I dated a man who claimed to be Drake's clone, and I wish I hadn't believed him. Grab a snack, get comfy, because this is a wild ride, and I'm spilling all the tea. Before we jump into the chaos, let me set the stage. This story takes place about 2 years ago, when I was in my mid-20s, living in your city, and navigating the absolute jungle that is modern dating. You know how it is, swiping through apps, dodging red flags, hoping to find someone who's at least half as normal as they seem in their profile. I wasn't looking for anything too serious at the time, just someone fun, interesting, maybe a little charming. Enter, let's call him Jake. Jake wasn't just charming, he was magnetic. Tall, confident, with a smile that could light up a room, and a vibe that screamed, "I've got stories to tell." Little did I know, one of those stories would turn my life upside down. Now, I'm not here to bore you with the usual dating app cliches. This isn't about ghosting or bad first dates. This is about a guy who seemed normal at first but slowly revealed a secret that made me question everything: my judgment, my sanity, and maybe even reality itself. So, how did I end up dating someone who claimed to be a clone of Drake, and why did I let myself believe him? Let's rewind to the beginning and unpack this step by step. It all started on a dating app. Let's just say it was one of the big ones. Jake's profile was intriguing. His photos showed him in stylish outfits, posing in front of cool backdrops, think urban lofts, neon-lit bars, and one suspiciously professional-looking shot that I later realized was taken at a music studio. His bio was simple but confident, living life like it's a movie. Let's write the next scene together. Cheesy, sure, but it worked. I swiped right, and we matched almost instantly. Our first conversation was electric. Jake was witty, quick with a comeback, and had this knack for making you feel like you were the only person in the world. He didn't bombard me with generic "hey, what's up" messages. Instead, he asked about my favorite music, and when I mentioned I was into hip-hop, Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, he lit up. "Oh, you're a Drake fan? That's dope. I vibe with his music too." Looking back, that was probably the first bread he dropped, but I didn't think much of it at the time. We texted for a few days before he suggested meeting up. He proposed a low-key coffee shop in downtown your city, one of those trendy spots with exposed brick walls and overpriced lattes. I was nervous but excited. When I walked in, there he was, leaning against the counter like he owned the place. He was even better looking in person, tall with a sharp jawline, a fade haircut, and this effortless coolness that made heads turn. He greeted me with a warm hug and a "you look even better than your pics." Smooth, right? The date was perfect. We talked for hours about music, life, dreams. He told me he worked in the music industry, doing consulting for artists and producers. He was vague about the details, but he dropped enough names, producers, studios, even a casual mention of OVO sound that it sounded legit. I mean, this guy was in his late 20s, charismatic, and seemed to have his life together. I was hooked. Things moved fast after that first date. Jake and I started seeing each other regularly: dinners, late-night walks, even a concert where he somehow got us VIP passes. He was attentive, always texting me good morning, sending me playlists with Drake's deep cuts, and making me feel like I was part of his world. But about a month in, I started noticing quirks. First, there was his obsession with Drake. Like obsession, he didn't just like Drake's music, he knew every lyric, every unreleased track, every interview. He'd casually drop facts about Drake's life, like, "Oh yeah, Aubrey was super close to his mom growing up," or he wrote "Take Care" after a rough breakup. It was impressive at first, but it started to feel intense. I'd make a joke about another artist and he'd get weirdly defensive, like I'd insulted his best friend. Then there were the physical similarities. I'm not saying Jake looked exactly like Drake, but there were moments where I'd catch him in a certain light, and it was uncanny. The way he tilted his head, the shape of his eyes, even his laugh, it was like he was channeling Drake's energy. I brushed it off as a coincidence. I mean, plenty of people look vaguely like celebrities, right? But one night, over drinks, he leaned in and said, "You ever wonder what it'd be like to date someone famous? Like, really famous?" I laughed and said, "Sure, but I'm good with you." He smirked and said, "You might be closer to that than you think." That was the first time my gut told me something was off. About 2 months into dating, Jake invited me to his apartment for the first time. It was a nice place, modern, clean, with a killer view of the city, but the vibe was odd. The walls were covered with framed vinyl records, all of them Drake albums. There was a shelf with what looked like awards plaques, trophies even, a replica of a Grammy with Aubrey Graham etched on it. I thought it was just hardcore fan stuff, but it felt like a shrine. We were chilling on his couch, listening to Nothing Was the Same, when he got quiet. I asked if he was okay, and he looked at me with this intense stare. "I need to tell you something," he said, "but you have to promise not to freak out." My heart started racing. Was he married in witness protection? A secret agent? I nodded, trying to play it cool. That's when he dropped the bomb. "I'm not who you think I am," he said. "I'm a clone. Drake's clone." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but his face was dead serious. He went on to explain that he was created in a lab, some secret project funded by people in the industry. According to him, Drake's team wanted a backup, a perfect replica to handle public appearances, tours, or even other stuff if Drake ever needed a break. Jake claimed he was that replica, engineered with Drake's DNA, trained to mimic his mannerisms, his voice, even his thought patterns. I was stunned. Part of me wanted to grab my purse and run, but another part was curious. He sounded so convincing, like he'd rehearsed this speech 1,000 times. He started pulling out proofed photos of him in studios with people who looked vaguely like Drake's crew. Documents that he claimed were from the lab, even a USB drive with what he said was classified audio of him recording Drake's vocals. I didn't know what to make of it. Was this guy delusional? A con artist? Was there a chance he was telling the truth? Here's where I admit something embarrassing. I didn't leave. I didn't call him crazy and block his number. Instead, I leaned into it. Maybe it was the thrill of the mystery, or maybe I was just too caught up in Jake's charm, but I started to believe him. He was so good at weaving this story, dropping just enough details to make it plausible without overwhelming me. He'd talk about the facility where he was created, how he had to undergo memory syncing to align with Drake's personality, and how he was deployed into the world to live a normal life until he was needed. He even had answers for my skeptical questions. When I asked why he was telling me this, he said, "Because I trust you and I'm tired of hiding who I am." When I asked why he didn't just go public, he claimed it was too dangerous. There were people watching him, making sure he stayed in line. It was like something out of a conspiracy thriller, and I was eating it up. Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed. I started digging into cloning technology, reading about DNA replication, and even watching YouTube videos about secret celebrity experiments. Jake encouraged it, feeding me more evidence, blurry photos, cryptic emails, even a burner phone he claimed was his secure line to his handlers. He'd text me things like, "Can't talk tonight, got a meeting with the team," and I'd picture him in some shadowy boardroom with music execs. But the deeper I got, the more cracks started to show. Jake's stories were inconsistent. One day he'd say he was activated in 2018. The next it was 2016. He'd dodge questions about the lab's location or the names of the scientists who made him. And then there was the money. He started asking for small loans, $50 here, $100 there, saying he needed it for security measures or to pay off a contact. I gave him a few $100 before I realized something was seriously wrong. The turning point came about 4 months into our relationship. I was at Jake's apartment, and he was acting weirder than usual. Distracted, checking his phone every 5 seconds. I confronted him, asking why he kept avoiding my questions about the cloning stuff. That's when he broke down. He admitted he wasn't a clone, but he didn't come clean entirely. Instead, he spun a new story. He was a decoy, hired by Drake's team to throw off paparazzi and stalkers. He said the cloning story was a cover to protect his real role. I was done. I felt like I'd been played for months, dragged into this elaborate fantasy for no reason. I told him I needed space and left. Over the next few days, I did some digging of my own. I reverse searched his photos, checked his social media, and even reached out to a friend who works in the music industry. Turns out, Jake was just a guy I wannabe producer with a knack for storytelling and a serious obsession with Drake. The studio photos were from open events. The documents were fake, and the awards were props he'd bought online. Looking back, I'm embarrassed that I fell for it. But Jake was good, really good. He knew how to manipulate emotions, how to make you feel special, how to keep you hooked with just enough mystery. I learned a lot from that experience. Trust your gut when something feels off. Don't ignore red flags, no matter how charming someone is. And maybe don't date anyone who claims they're a celebrity clone without some serious proof. I haven't spoken to Jake since, but I heard through mutual friends that he's still out there, spinning news stories for new people. Part of me hopes he's found a better way to channel his creativity, but I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I'm back to swiping, a little wiser and a lot more skeptical. So, that's the story of how I dated a man who claimed to be Drake's clone, and why I wish I hadn't believed him. Have you ever had a wild dating story? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching and subscribe until next time.